What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Redbeard Outdoors podcast. And we've got an awesome guest for you guys. You guys have probably seen him on Instagram. I don't know if you have a TikTok. I'm assuming you do. I don't do TikTok, but we got Instagram, comedian here. We've got Trent Ellis. Trent is my fellow ginger. He's a dad. He's a Southern boy, and loves hunting, loves getting out there, but also has a great sense of humor. And if you guys haven't seen his stuff, I'd highly recommend it. I'll leave his page's link down below where you can check out his content. But Trent, came across my page again. Anytime there's a ginger that's doing things successfully, I like to follow along, and especially when there's a good sense of humor. And then you tie in the dad factor and, of course, the hunting. I mean, you just checked all the boxes for me. So with that being said, Trent, for people that don't know who you are, man, who are you?
Like you just said, just a ginger redneck from Mississippi, pretty much. I mean, likes to make people laugh every now and then, and loves outdoors and my family. So if I can tie in all that together in content, I feel like I can be fairly relatable. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just an average guy, man.
Do not forget to get entered into the 6,000 subscriber giveaway. Who doesn't want to win a free spotting scope that's worth over $1,000 from Leupold? The SX4 65 millimeter Gen 2 spotting scope is going to go to one of you lucky people. So all you have to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel, fill out the link down below so I can call the winner live on YouTube when we hit 6,000 subscribers. So let's get there, guys. We're almost there. Less than 300 subs left to get there. Help me get there. Let's do this together. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Now let's get back to the podcast right now. That's awesome. No, and honestly, the reality of it is it comes off as very genuine. Your stuff, obviously, you've got kind of a character that you've got going on with the comedian stuff, but at the same time, you can tell those are kind of those intrusive thoughts that you turn into humor.
Yeah.
You actually think those things. I think a lot of us do think those things as well. I think my favorite one recently was the saddle hunter versus the non-saddle hunter. That was freaking hilarious because for a while, and us Western guys, I'm just the last couple of years have been getting into saddle hunting and going out for whitetails, later in the season. It's been fun, but I'm implementing it here with elk now too, sitting over water when it's stupid hot, like 100 degrees, like it has been the last couple weeks. Sitting over water in a saddle is great. Super mobile, everything like that. And I know the people that when saddle hunting started to become a thing, people were kind of picking on, oh, you're wearing a diaper. Oh, like they kind of teased the opposite. And now seeing that fire back, like that was golden. It was awesome.
Well, it's crazy, man, because like the same guys who got butt hurt, when you look on their profile, you look at it and it's like, a lot of them are trying to exude toughness and, mental toughness and all this kind of stuff. And they'll get on there and say some off color comment that's like not a good joke or anything. You can tell guys that don't, like, I've had a lot of comments that on that video, people that don't saddle hunt that said something in a joking manner, like a little jab at me. And then you saw a lot of guys that I would consider to be normal guys that just hated it. And I'm like, it kind of made me happy. I'll be honest with you. Like, when we can point that out and be like, all right, well, you can't laugh at yourself. So let's get you a little bit more, I just, it did give me a little bit of joy. It's not biblical. It's not good, but it gave me a little bit of joy.
Sometimes it's okay to be human.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And yeah, man, I mean, I think you work with tethered.
That's right.
I work with cruiser. There's the top three, I'd say latitude, cruiser, and tethered are right up there. They're neck and neck, and great saddles. It's something that I highly recommend, kind of on more of a serious note for people, even the Western guys. If you find a trail that's heavily traveled, or again, when it's stupid hot, like it is here in August, but you can still hunt, sitting over water, getting your scent off the ground. And our elk aren't smart like the whitetails, or it hasn't been bred into them to look into trees and look for weird looking branches.
Yeah.
Elk don't look up. All of their predators are on the ground between humans, bears, mountain lions, wolves, and you know, anything else that's coyotes, they're all on the ground. They don't ever look up to have to worry about that. So I've noticed that sitting in a saddle, and I've had buddies that have sent me videos of, you know, raghorns walking essentially underneath them. They could have poked them with an arrow, you know, because they had no idea they were there. And so it's a good tool for sure.
Yeah. I've been saddle hunting since 2019 or 2020. And I started off with a tethered Manus. And tethered didn't sponsor. Of course, I've only been doing content for 2 years. So this is way before the tethered sponsorship, but I was using their their saddle. I started off using the Wild Edge Steps, which was just terrible. And then I found a video on YouTube of a guy doing the one stick climbing method, and I'm like,
no.
this looks cool. And I started, and I've done that for 5 years. But yeah, and it's, I mean, hey, I've done a video on it. My buddy Cam Robson, he's on TikTok and everything too. I think he actually is either Cam or Cameron Robson, depending on what his social medias are. But he just did one on the one stick method, and I've been doing that for 5 or 6 years. So I love it. I love it.
No. One sticking's a little that's a little up there for me. I'm willing to carry in my sticks and some cabelators to have a good ladder on the side of that tree. I'm not doing the one stick thing. That's no thank you. I like my feet on the ground usually. Yeah.
What's crazy is I'm scared of heights. When I started hunting, like in order to go onto public land and hunt, you had to take a climber with you. With the way I was raised.
See, those things are sketchy as all get out. I don't know if I will ever.
This was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They were really sketchy because this was before you had to wear a safety harness. So we didn't wear a safety harness, and we just got into an old man climber with a net seat and, hugged up to that tree. And I'll never forget, my dad is 5'10", and we was over at his brother's house that got me and my older brother, into deer hunting. And Sean, my uncle's like, all right, so this is how you put it on the tree. This is how you climb, get up there. And I get up there and I'm like 9 years old, and I turn around and I'm like, I think this is pretty good. And my dad just reaches up and grabs the bottom of the climber. He's like, son, I think you're going to have to go a little higher. So I've always been just terrified of heights, but the military really helped me work through that. And when I got out, I mean, saddle hunting, whether you're one sticking or 5 sticking or whatever, I mean, to me, it's way more safe. It feels more safe because you're just always tight. You never get off balance, and, and feel your leverage shift a whole lot abruptly or whatever.
Yeah, you scoot one way and the seat you're sitting in goes down. You're like, oh no, thanks.
It can't to the right or the left, or it slides down the tree. That's
nope.
Yeah, I've ruined some drawers in a climbing stand on some slick red oak trees. I'll just tell you. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. But I will tell you, here's something that's fun. I found an aspen tree last year that I climbed up, and that's pretty easy. There's not a lot of branches up until you get to the top, and so that's easy. It's almost like climbing a freaking telephone pole. And but I picked one that probably wasn't big enough and appropriate to climb up. So when the wind picked up about midday, like it usually does on the side of the mountain, I went for a ride, and that was that was a lot of fun going back and forth, back and forth. that was I was about 15 feet up doing this little number here, and I'm like, yeah. Oh yeah, that was fun. But outside of that, man, I agree. Saddle hunt, and it's comfortable. That's the other thing too, is you're not tied to a specific location like you are when you're sitting a stand. You have to sit there. Your knees are bent at 90 degrees. It's not like that with a saddle at all. You can put your knees into the tree with a pad. You can wear knee pads. You can straddle the tree. You can stand up. You can lean back. And it kind of gets me in trouble a little bit too, because I like to rock back and forth when I'm sitting up there. What's going on, everyone? This is take 3, and I was just telling Trent I've never had to do a take 3. So this is what happens when you get two gingers together. And we're going to get a phone call any moment here that his wife is delivering their baby, because she is due any moment. So we're going to get this podcast recorded before that happens. Otherwise, we're going to have to do a take 4.
If look, we're not a take 4. We'll just continue it in the delivery room.
Yeah. I'll just cut the podcast and have like that spinning circle of death and just post that. So that it's just like people are thinking it's loading.
Yeah, exactly.
And then cut them to one of your specials or something. Be like, this was the next time I saw Trent.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah, so I don't even remember where we left off. I probably should have gone back and listened to it, but I didn't. But guys, this is post September now. I don't record in September if I can avoid it, because that's kind of my Super Bowl. There's a lot of other hunting going on. I mean, I've got doe pronghorn starting this Saturday. I've got a whitetail hunt in Wisconsin the end of this month. I've got mule deer archery with my son here in Utah, and then whitetail in Texas. So I've got a lot of stuff still going on. And if I punch all those tags and still have some extra time, and my wife is still married to me, we've got elk late season that runs all the way through the middle of December, that I can go after with a bow. So all of that is still going on. So it's not even close to the end of my season. And I know you said today was opening day or close to opening day there, and where you're
Opening
at.
day
So
today.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
And it's funny that you got your late season elk runs through December. Where I live, our peak rut doesn't hit until the first of the year.
really. It's just
So
that hot.
so well, a lot of times, yeah, probably compared to Utah and everywhere else, because it won't get consistently into the 30s here until December. And we'll even have some days in December to where it's just like this. It's 70 degrees in the morning, 85 throughout the day, and then the next day it'll be 22, that morning, and 45 throughout the day or whatever. So,
Well, and with the humidity you guys deal with, it's essentially, I mean, it feels a lot cooler or hotter depending on which extreme you're in.
yes, it does. People don't believe that. People that, I mean, don't get me wrong, -10 is -10. But when you come up here and you see a thermostat that says, 28 degrees, and you think, oh, well, I'm from wherever, and it gets, right now it's 10 degrees there. Bet you anything it feels the same, if not worse, at 28 up here or down here. That wet, cold, man, it just sucks.
No, I agree.
But
It's the
I'm looking
wind
forward to
or
it.
the humidity will cut right through anything that you've got. I mean, and what's worse is, you guys are walking out to the stand and you've got to, and here's the thing that I've figured out is that a lot of Eastern guys, for some reason, or Eastern, Midwest, whatever, whitetail guys, they don't understand thermals and stuff per se, unless you're super into, like we were talking about, wind direction and everything with a buck that you're hunting this year. But a lot of whitetail guys don't think about that, and they actually go. I probably should have asked you if you're sponsored by any scent killers. Do you have any?
No, I'm
Okay.
not.
Okay, cool. Then I'm going to talk shit for a minute, because I feel like it's one of the biggest scams out there. In a way, scam's a strong word, but I don't truly believe in it, because I have been in areas where I have sweated my butt off with mule deer and elk, and I'm sitting there and I've got the wind right, and I know I smell like crap because it's been 3 days, I haven't showered, whatever. I mean, I just had this happen last week. I was up there, and a cow elk came into 10 yards. She worked from 90 yards to 10 yards. She saw a little bit of movement, heard my calf calls, and came in, and didn't have the wind. And I know, again, I smelled. Like, I mean, it's been a couple days since I showered. I've been hiking. It's been warm. And she still came into 10 yards on me, trying to figure out what I was, because the wind was right. So I feel like, personally, spend a little bit less money on the scent killers and a little bit more time studying wind and thermals, and you'll have a lot more success. Just my 2 cents.
I agree with you. I also believe that with technology, that eventually one of these days they will have something that is just like that somebody's going to invent something that is 100% bulletproof, that deletes, thermal, deletes scent, and then it's going to get knocked off 187 different times.
Well, I mean,
And
if you could have a portable grizzly blind, You know, I don't know if you've seen those. They have like that ozone. So they have, it's a hard sided blind, which obviously keeps your scent in a lot better than any pop-up blind or anything like that, because the wind can't blow through it. But also they've created this, it's like the ozone that people would put all their clothing into a bag, get that, you know, that scent, whatever, taken off. It's a filtration system for the actual blind. So any wind that's coming out is supposedly scent free as well. So
well,
you can find a way to make that portable.
John Eberhart, he's a big proponent of the scent lock, but he says in all of his videos that if you don't cover 100% of your skin and hair with scent lock, if you do everything but you leave your face open, or if you do everything but you've got long hair sticking out, if you leave everything but you've got your beard sticking out, or whatever the case, your fingertips, if you have to have 100%, from what he says, you have to have 100% covered, and you have to keep it stored the right way. But if you do, basically what he said is, if you do everything by the book, it works, and he doesn't hunt the wind. So I don't know if he's telling the truth or not. Nobody does, but I would say, you know, I think he has a very good reputation of killing Pope and Young, a lot of Pope and Young Michigan deer on public land, and he contributes a lot of that success to getting saddle hunting, getting up in the tree at 2 hours before daylight, sitting all day, and using scent lock from head to toe, and that way he doesn't have to worry about the wind.
Does he pee in a bottle too? Because I just, I laugh about that, because my buddy I just hunted with, he comes in with this gallon jug, after he's done with his water. That's what he uses, and it's got a little handle that comes over the top, and I always tease him, I'm like, man, you bringing apple juice back to camp? Why'd you pack that?
Yeah,
but
I'm not doing that.
I would say, I don't know. It's interesting because there are those different schools of thought. You wear muck boots, and so you don't have any scent coming off your boots or anything. There's so many different ideas. Everyone's got their own thing. To me, I feel like it's almost like a ritual in a way. I agree with the 2 hours ahead of time though, because I have noticed and it sucks doing this, especially if you have any kind of ADHD or your mind just wanders, or you have any kind of stress on your mind. Sitting there for 2+ hours in a spot that animals come through, but they're not guaranteed to come through that day, but it's a travel spot. I have found, that's how I killed my buck here it is.
Yep, look, are we going to the hospital?
No, it was at Walmart. We're doing this weird shirt. Arlen's a cowboy today.
And little Arlen's a bye cowboy.
That's awesome. Yep.
Yeah.
So the whole idea behind that, I call it letting the woods calm down, because obviously you're making noise. I know with elk it's different, because with elk, they're noisy creatures. They're 800 to 1,000 pound animals going through the trees, and they can be freaking quiet, but when there's other stuff out there that's crunchy and whatnot, you hear them coming in. And I try and mimic their pattern if I'm getting into an area like a little bit more slower walking pace rather than just pounding through it. But I have found that sitting there quietly, funny story, since I forgot that we haven't talked since the end of August, I actually was in my tree saddle, and I had a guy come check his camera on a water hole, public land. I thought the camera was my buddy's camera, because he had a camera on this water spot, and that's why I went to go sit it. And so I'd set my sticks on it to climb up, and I'm not a one sticker like you. I'm not cool like that, but I set my sticks up, and so it looks like a freaking ladder going up the backside of this tree. This dude and his buddy come in, check their camera, don't look up, don't know I'm there, nothing. Hear their full conversation, all this mess, right? It's like middle of the day. Now I've been sitting there since early morning. And until they're about to leave, the guy looks up and he's like, oh, hey. I was like, what's up, guys? They had no idea I was there. Obviously, that has nothing to do with the smell portion of it. But obviously, I was like, well, I'm in a good spot. I can't be seen, if that's the case. So You know, there's so much to it, man. I feel like, and every, you know, deer are different, every state, every city. Some of them are used to, you know, with pronghorn out here, if you're flying down the highway, they're right off the side of the highway. But the moment you pull off the highway, boom, their
Gone.
heads are up. And they're
Yeah.
like, okay, that's different. They'll sit there and listen to engine brakes and, you know, 18 wheelers and everything. They're fine with it. But the moment you pull off the side of the road, they're like, okay, something's odd.
Well,
You know,
and the reason that I'm not like so headstrong on certain things as far as like it's right or wrong is just because I'll show you. This is essentially. Do you have this video uploaded or is it all audio?
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
all
we
right.
got
So
video
you're
uploaded.
listening.
We get the mobile podcast right here. We got Trent Ellis's house
Yeah.
walkthrough.
So this is like the average deer that I've killed. All these are public except that one with a bow. That one's like 80 yards off public. So we're not. And here's the biggest deer that I've killed thus far would be these two. This is an old private land deer with a gun behind my grandparents, and then this one was on public
That's a good
back in
whitetail.
2020 with a bow. And that's not a bad deer. But
no, not at all.
that's not
compared.
your I don't have a house full of 140 to 100 and well, but you live in Utah, okay? You're not in whitetail country. So for a guy that's brought up in whitetail country and whitetail hunting his whole life, I've only been really public land hunting, and I didn't kill a public land deer last year, not one. But every year before that, I'd killed for the last 5-6 years, killed bucks on public and primarily hunted public. And but I don't have the wall, that trophy wall, to where I can say, you know, I've got all the experience of killing big mature bucks, and I know what works. Because what I don't even I just learned about thermals this year, as far as, and the only thing I know, and I could be backwards on this, but in the morning time they settle or go
they
up.
go down. They go down.
Yeah, so they okay. So in the morning time, you basically don't want to be on the top of a hill, and in the evening, it's right the opposite, you know, or whatnot. But as far as implementing that into hunting, I have never done that in the season. I've only looked at the wind.
Yeah,
and
when they
so,
mix, that's when you get the swirly wind, because sometimes the prevailing wind is different than the thermals. And, you know, there's so many, and people probably don't think about it a lot either, because you guys don't really have mountains, you know, where it's a huge deal. You've got hills, maybe some drainages of a creek or something like that. But I mean, you know, if you just sit in a creek bottom, you can feel the wind getting pulled down to the bottom, you know, in the middle of the day. And so that's kind of where things get, and I'm not an expert on this either, but it's definitely, there's a lot to prevailing wind, thermals, things like that. You know, I know people swear over milkweed out east and Midwest because it travels further than your little poof bottle, you know, that you can get with the chalk in it.
Well, I've heard that you can, when you hunt in bottoms around here, you can be up in that tree 20 foot, and that wind, when you're up there, that north wind hitting you in your face, and you let that milkweed go, and it goes all the way down. Now, this is coming from a guy that hunted all public land not far from here, and when you walked in his house, it was monster after monster. And he's one of those guys. He's a little bit older than me and has just killed a bunch of them. But he used milkweed, and he was saying that, you know, when you're up in the tree and that north wind's hitting you in the face and you drop that milkweed, you'll watch it go back a little bit, but by the time it gets down to the ground, a lot of times, especially if you're hunting the bottom or in, you know, anything like that, it hits the ground, it'll shoot forward. And he said a lot of times, especially if you're hunting on the side of a hill or something like that, you've got to be able to account for that crosswind. I think that's what he called it, was a crosswind, and or ground wind or something like that. Because basically, like up here, your scent's going down or going back, but as soon as it gets low to the ground, that's how you can still have deer 60 yards out there when they come out of the thicket edge and blow. But I haven't seen that as much per se, just because if I've got a strong wind in my face, I'm normally getting blown out from behind me. But like I said, man, I've messed up some good deer opportunities in the last few years, but at the same time, I have not been able to, and I've been skunked on the last 2 years on public for the buck that I was chasing. So I don't know, man. I can't give really any of those gray area stamps of approval or disapproval.
I can tell you how to kill these cool palmated little doinkers. That's oh man,
That is cool though.
you know,
Palmated. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
that thing is pretty cool. It's like a little mini moose. That's what I called them, as moose. That's
Yeah.
but no, it's I've got another one that's tempting me right now, showing up on camera up there in Wisconsin. I call him Nemo because he's a spike, but he has a palmated like 4 over here. And he's got that little like that palmation going on too. And I'm like, well, I might just have to kill Nemo this year if I don't have another buck coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, really. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, for sure. But no, and kind of shifting gears here. Obviously just got done with my elk bender. Elk is still they are 100% my favorite animals, even though they're some of the most frustrating. And I think just about any animal you hunt can be that way. But whitetails, man, there's something fun about after hitting mule deer and elk out west, pounding the mountains, going up and down the same hills, same mountains, same ridges, and putting in those miles. There's something fun about sitting in a tree and just listening to the woods come alive, wanting to kill every single squirrel that sounds like a whitetail. Yep. And and speaking of which, I'm probably going to get a blow dart gun just to have up in the tree this year so I can pop the squirrels without
That's very smart.
Right? It's silent, and I mean you don't have to waste an arrow. I put 2 broadheads through squirrels last year because I was just pissed in the middle of the day and they wouldn't shut up.
Yeah.
But it's cheaper and it's quiet and hopefully it'll get them to shut up. But anyway, listening to the woods come alive, there's something about that. Feeling that sun hit the back of your neck and warming up after being freezing cold, sitting in the cold up there in your stand. And there's just something about it. So I guess what really got you into whitetail hunting? I know we kind of, in the previous 2 attempts on this podcast, we discussed you were in the Marines, you're a financial advisor, you're certified, which no one would probably suspect. And then
not even
obviously
me.
Yeah, right. And then obviously you're a comedian, and that's taken off and you're doing awesome there. So where does whitetail fit into that? How did you grow up hunting whitetails? Like what is that for you?
So I killed my first deer when I was 9. And ever since then it was like the bug bit me. So every chance that I could go, I went. And I mainly hunted small little parcels of private family land that we had until I got out of the military. And then once I got out of the military, I went 4 years without hunting. So, well, I'll take that back. I would come home. I think I got to hunt twice in those 4 years when I came home and during like Christmas break or something. And dude, I just wreaked havoc on everything. But when I got out, I was like, I'm going to make up for lost time. So I really started hunting public then because I wanted to go out and chase big deer, and none of the private that I hunted had that potential. It was real small blocks, and just in Northeast Mississippi, people around here would really understand that, especially around the Manatee, Mississippi area. You just don't have, 130s, 140s, 150s just everywhere. So I started hunting public land throughout college and really, really, really got into it. I've always, man, I got into turkey hunting too during that time, but I duck hunted a little bit in high school and I love that, but it's always come back to deer. And I think it was just because I was so obsessed with it, from the first time that I killed. Well, it was before that. I mean, when my brother would come in before I could go hunting, I'd be 7 years old and he'd come in 7, 8 years old. And he'd come in and he'd have an 8-point in the back of the truck, and I'd go to my room and cry, just because I was so upset that he killed a deer and I couldn't go and all this kind of stuff. And so Yeah, man, it's always been just something that I have loved and itched to do. And I've recently it's kind of changed a little bit, not for species, but trying to now be more of the family man, and kind of like when you pick your battles with your wife, I want to pick my time that I'm gone, cuz now I'm so busy, whether it's, podcast or shows or filming or whatever the case. It's like there's a lot of time that I don't get to spend with my family. So days like today, a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have found some place to go. I mean, there's places to go other than this one spot that I've got
Yeah.
this one deer on camera that I could hunt with an east wind. But it's like, or I could just get some stuff done around the house, spend it today here, and not hunt today. And actually, what we did was me and Arlen are going to get in the shoot house this evening for the first time and hunt together. Have no idea how that's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, man, hey, this is, we could do that. So now I'm like, all right, until the rut gets here or pre-rut gets here, which is the middle of December for pre-rut, and rut would be Christmas
Mm-hmm.
time to the first of the
Mm-hmm.
year. Until that time gets here, I'm going to continue to just, if it's not the perfect condition
Yeah.
and I can spend some more time with the fam, I'm going to do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's always, man, southeast, it's you're going to whitetail deer hunt, turkey hunt. A lot of kids are going to be big duck hunters, or you're just going to be like, a bass or crappie fisherman. That's
Yeah.
pretty much it. You're going to have one of those five as your favorite.
Oh,
Um,
for sure.
so, but yeah, for me, it's always been whitetail, man. There's something about killing a decent buck,
Mm-hmm.
that I love. I can't get
Yeah.
enough of.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with you. And my wife was awesome this September, and I think it took a couple years for her to realize that this wasn't a phase for me getting into big game hunting. And she doesn't eat the big game. There's something. She's a person that she never listens to my stuff anyway, so I'm gonna call her out a little bit here. But she can taste if something's been microwaved. She has very sensitive smell. Like if I've even cleaned an animal in the kitchen 7 hours before she got home from work, she can still smell that irony smell. Even if I've bleached, cleaned, sprayed, whatever, she'll still come in and be like, "You cleaned something today, didn't you?" Like God
Yeah.
dang it. So I'm working around that. She's gotten we figured out how to balance that. But this September she literally told me, she was like, "Look," because I was telling her, "Look, things aren't showing up. They're drying up. I could work remote, so I was working off my Starlink, which worked phenomenal, by the way, for people that are wondering if they can do that. I was down in a canyon, and it's still, no lagging. I was on video calls and everything, and it worked great. But anyway,
Why
she
don't you
told me,
talk about that here a little bit more too?
yeah,
Go ahead.
she told me, she was like, "Don't come home until either the season's over or you've killed something." Okay. So, now I've got buddies that are single, and they're a little bit older than me or my age. They're like, "Does she have a sister?" Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, honestly, no, she doesn't have any available,
Yeah.
but I don't like it was more of a combined effort over years of just showing her, this is my passion, this is what I'm wanting to do. And I do genuinely come back a better person. And I think that's key too. When you come back, like, your identity as a husband, a father, a Christian, whoever it is that you are, should not be wrapped up in an animal, because unfortunately the animals have a say in things. And that's what happened to me. Was they essentially just said, "Screw you, buddy, you can do all you want, we're not participating this season." Which is fine. It sucked. But when I came home, I felt I was more patient. I wasn't as burned out as I had been before I left for September. I feel a rejuvenated effort here at work in my 9 to 5, and just more patience with my kids and things like that than I was having before I left. Less stressed. And if you come back that way from whatever hunt it is, whether it's whitetail, big game out west, you travel across the world, whatever, whether you're successful on that tag or not, you still got to have that experience. And for me, it's a teaching experience to tell the kids, like, hey, you don't always get one, unfortunately, and your dad's really not that amazing of a hunter, like, so it's glorified bow hiking and camping trip, essentially, is what it is. But that, that for me has seemed like the key, like you're saying, picking the times that are most important, and getting things done when maybe your wife asks you to do something or your kids need your attention, things like that.
Well, you said something that really, it brought something up in my mind, and it was, you shouldn't be, your identity shouldn't be tied up into an animal, and it should be, whether you're a Christian or this. And I think that's a big reason why I feel the way I do now, because I came up with a brand called Bad Luck Hunting Club and everything, and people are like, "How'd you come up with that?" I'm like, "It's pretty self-explanatory." Okay, if I told you the last 5 years, you would understand.
I'm gonna come up with the Dink Club.
Yeah, yeah. But man, I am a Christian,
Yeah.
and the Bible and Jesus tells us not to make idols, okay, and not to have idols above Him. And what I have done since I've been out of the Marines is I have made hunting. I've tied my whole identity up into how successful of a hunter I am, and a lot of us do that. And I think there's a natural part of who we are that gravitates towards hunting, just because it was originally what allowed us to survive. To want to go out there. So to be able to go out there and chase animals and kill them and eat them and stuff, we needed that. And I think God put that, just instinct in us to want to do that, so it's a little bit easier for survival. However, you know, it got so bad that I got so bad that when I went, I had so much pressure on myself, and I would be pessimistic about, well, I've been 17 times, and it's November the 12th, and I ain't seen him yet, or I've gotten blown out twice, or I've run into people, so what else is going to happen? So I'd already get in a pessimistic mindset, and then, you know, I would have instances to where I would miss big deer, or I would hit them and not be lethal, and then I would audibly, as a Christian, curse God, and it just literally hit me once. I was like, wow, this is way out of control. And I'm sitting here praying beforehand, please, Lord, send a buck my way, or send the buck my way, or whatever the case, allow me to come out of here successful. And, I'm skipping church. I'm not reading my Bible. The only time I'm praying to him is when I'm in the tree stand, or I'm in the saddle, and I'm asking for something. And when I don't get it, I'm audibly cursing him. It's like he could literally cause me to fall out of this saddle and be paralyzed or kill me for what I'm saying. So that's where I learned, like, okay, this is hunting. And especially in the last 2 years that I've been able to have a lot more freedom and basically live my dream. He's allowed that through all of this crap that I'm telling you. He's allowed that to come to fruition and still bless me in that manner. And I thought, what matters? I've got to, just like being a comedian, just like if you're going to be somebody on social media, whether it's a podcaster or a social media influencer or a YouTuber or whatever the case, you can't take yourself seriously, because if you do, you're just going to wear everything on your sleeves, and every comment that anybody makes that's negative about you, you're going to wear it, and you're going to, you just can't do that. And I thought the same thing about hunting. It's like, okay, I'm 30 years old, and I have been hunting for 20 years. And I have been really hard hunting for the last 7, or, well, it would be 8. And I haven't got the deer harvested that I want to. And I haven't gotten, I've missed 5 or 6 deer that anybody in any state would be very proud of. But my goodness, how childish is that? How immature, how selfish is that? Because I've still been able to harvest good deer. There's plenty of people that would probably, give a limb to trade places with me, and send me to the factory line and, have to take off. I mean, I make jokes about how bad my wife is so I can be relatable to my audience, because a lot of people have wives that stick it to them and don't let them go hunting. Dude, my wife, you talking about yours? Bree told me a month ago, 2 months ago. She said, "Now listen, unless it's stand up or if it's work, you're fine to leave. But I understand it's filming for YouTube and work and all this kind of stuff. But when we're hunting, okay, I don't want you leaving the state to go hunt and film before January the 1st. And once that happens, at the first, give me till the first of the year. And then I don't want it to be any longer than 5 days a month." And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Like, how many guys would love to have a wife that said, "Hey, you can be gone 5 days a month to hunt, but no more than, like, sign me up." You know what I mean? So with all this kind of stuff, man, that's been one thing that I thought a lot about. And I said, man, you have made hunting your identity. You've made hunting an idol. No wonder God is allowing you to struggle so bad in my mind with this stuff. And that's where I just like, look, today's probably the first opening day of deer season in 8 years that I'm not going to hunt, because me and Arlen, we're going to get in the stand, and I imagine when we get in that blind, we're going to sit there for 5 minutes, and he's going to go, "Daddy, can we go home?" And we're going to get out and we're going to go home. But, at the same time, it's like I have to show myself and show God that, hey, you're first. Nothing else is but you and my family. And these are deer. So if my neighbor kills them, if the other guy, on public is dragging a deer and dragging this buck in front of my camera after he's killed it, all glory to him, man. All right. So, and he'll allow me to get one that he'll allow me to join that 130, 140 club if ever, when he sees fit. But until then, I've got a lot of working on myself to do, and not making it an idol is at the top of the list.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm right there with you. And I would like to dive into the whole marriage thing, because I think a lot of people, I hear about it. I fortunately do not have friends that complain about their wives. And that's just a testament to the circle of people that I've got around me. But I hear about it, and it is a joke for a reason. You're a comedian, you definitely understand this.
Yeah.
Every joke has a tinge of truth to it, whether it's a lot of truth or a little bit of truth. There's some truth there. And so hearing about it so much, you definitely understand that this is a prevalent issue. And I would say it falls back more on the husbands than it does the wives, because you haven't explained it enough to your wife as to why you're so passionate about sitting in a tree waiting for a glorified dog in the South anyway to walk past you. I mean, they're tiny,
Not mad about that.
and especially if your wife doesn't eat the game meat, like, they don't understand it. But I would ask those same guys, one, have you explained it? Two, are you a better person when you come back from that hunt, whatever the hunt is? Are you excited? Are you present with the family, with your wife, with your kids? If it's a girlfriend, are you present with your girlfriend when you get out of the stand? Are you inviting them to go with you, knowing, like you said, you're probably not going to be successful?
Hold on just a second. This is a great moment you're getting into, but I just got a picture at
From
the
your trail
spot.
cam?
Yep.
Oh no.
Yep. I don't see it yet, but I'm gonna say the next picture he's gonna be walking right out there in front
That's
of it.
freaking
So
hilarious. And we both
I knew it would happen.
Yeah,
I knew it would happen.
We both run revealed
Right.
trail cams. Those things are awesome, super crystal clear. And but yeah, so the whole you know, the whole idea is, you know, coming back, being present. You know, maybe that means when everyone's gone to bed, that's when you do your scouting. That's when you do checking the wind. Maybe you need some later nights to whatever, pack your bag, get yourself ready, get your gear ready. But coming back and being present's a big one. And then not taking more than you give, you know, is another
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Because if you just take all that time, then, you know, and also another big thing too is in my opinion, you shouldn't feel rewarded when you come back, you know, from a hunt. You shouldn't feel like, you know, the family needs to be waiting for you with some kind of celebration or anything like that. Like
Yeah.
they're happy when you're there, and they're excited when you kill something because they know that that's exciting to you.
Yeah.
But again, you know, teaching the next generation that that's not the only thing that it's about. You know, I took my 10-year-old during September. I called an audible, went down to where we could cow and spike hunt, but it's a big elk unit, a big bull unit that takes decades to draw. And but you can go and cow and spike hunt, so you get to hear tons of bugles, you get to see lots of elk, you know, just an awesome experience. And on my way down to that unit, I was like, you know, I'm going to check my son out. He's 10. I'm going to check him out of school and give him 3 days off of school to come chase elk with me. You know, it's not easy. He's going to have to hike and glass and be a little cold kind of deal. So just to give him a little dabble of it. And man, that was the highlight of my September. You know, even though I didn't kill an elk in both states that I had tags in, I got to see his face light up when he heard his first bugle. We had a probably a 380 plus bull come out in front of us at 30 yards in front of a razor. Didn't have any cows, unfortunately, because that's what we were after. But my son got to watch him run around in front of the razor, confused because of the bright lights, until he ran off the other side of the mountain. My son was like, is that a bull? I was like, oh yeah. And you could just see in his eyes, he's like, whoa, like just how big that animal was. And then the last day we were there, you know, I'm just cow calling off the sides of each side, and probably about 150 yards off this ridge, this bull just had this nasty growly bugle. And my son looks at me, he's like, Dad, we got to go out. He's got to have cows. He sounds like a big one. He's got to have cows. We got to go. And I was like, yes, you know. So those are the kind of things that you know, just walking him down, showing him the difference in cow tracks and bull tracks. Him getting it, you know, my wife jokes about this. She's like, did you ever think you'd study poop as much as you do during hunting season? You know, like just
Yeah, exactly.
just stuff like that, you know. And man, it's so much fun sharing that with the kids. So even if it's 5 minutes in the stand tonight with your boy, or you end up killing a doe or whatever with him, you know, it's that's exciting, you know.
It's gonna be it's gonna be memorable because I didn't grow up with a deer hunting dad. My dad, he loves the stock market, and you know, he grew up when a deer camp. He grew up with a very severely abusive alcoholic as a father. So his deer camp memories was with a bunch of older men that got drunk. They would fight, and then he'd come home and take a beating from his old man. So, um, you know, and that's the other thing that I was going to say is that, like, when you talk about how men should be and shouldn't be, and there's more, you know, there's more women that are okay with their husbands hunting. And I don't really have a lot of friends that have wives that complain about that stuff either. And I think where that, what do you call it? Where that, not idea, but that stereotype came from, of the wife complaining about the husband hunting all the time. I think that came from you know, the 80s through the early 2000s, you know, husband that kind of like the prohibition era husband that, you know, would just go to the bar and get drunk and be lazy and maybe whoop up on their family. And then the women had to start doing everything, and they hated drinking. And it's like, you got some husbands that are, or some guys are like, man, you know, I can't have a drink and woman not be complaining about it. It's like, yeah, well, they had a season to where it was built back with a lot of trauma. And the same thing is, I know a lot of guys that would go to hunting camp and they'd just get drunk, and then they'd come home and they'd be half a husband and expect a full wife. And so their kids grew up seeing that, and they saw their mama, complaining about
Mhm.
their daddy going off, and little girl grew up with that. So yeah, she's probably not going to like the idea
Mhm.
of her husband, because that's what, her husband doing that, because that's the memory she has correlated to it. So I definitely think it's less of a stereotype now. That it's still funny to talk about. That's why I talk about it.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
but that's why it's sincerely a joke, because I feel like we have made leaps and bounds as far as men go today, is trying to make our families more, the forefront. And and there's a lot of women out there that are good with their husbands going
Yeah.
hunting. I get my number one comment when I make a video like that is normally a woman saying something like, "The only time I'll be mad is if he don't take me with him or something,"
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
But um, but yeah, I mean I'm whatever happens this evening, and I mean we could get in the side by side and head down there, and him want to turn around. Whatever happens this evening, I don't care, because I'm gonna enjoy it, just because I would have given an arm or a
Mhm.
leg
Mhm.
for my dad to be excited about taking me hunting
Yep.
when I grew up.
Oh
And
yeah.
so that's something I've always wanted to do,
Mhm.
is have that relationship with a son or a daughter. And like what you just said, to see that light bulb go off 10 years
Mhm.
old, like, and then for him to be like, "Hey, we need to go chase him. He might have some cows." You're like, "Oh, he not only gets
Yep.
it, but he's wanting to pursue it." And then you
Mhm.
just start thinking about what's what's 10 years down the road going to look like? What kind of we're going to be he's going to be grown, we're going to be hunting
Mhm.
together, and we're going to be so that's like a dream come true in itself. Uh
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
but
agree,
yeah.
and last year, so my first older two kids, um, my wife had three from a previous marriage, and so I'm not old enough to have adult children, but they're mine because dad's not in the picture. So the older two were not interested. And again, I've always been an advocate of you don't need to force it, right?
Right.
My middle child came to me, surprised me one day that he had gotten his hunter safety course done through the young men's program at the church and didn't tell me he was doing it. And he said, "Hey, can you put me in for the hunts?" Hell yeah, I can. Are you kidding me? Like, of course. And so he got to, I coached him up on his archery, and he got to where he was pulling 50 pounds, and was shooting broadheads great at 40 yards. So we, let him know that's your limit. He made multiple great stalks in the freezing cold last year. Let two arrows fly. One of them, I don't know what happened. He was probably just buck fever. The other one, he was going after a doe, and I watched the arrow deflect off a branch. But he had such a great time, and we're going to do it again this year. And he asked to get
Yeah.
another tag this year, and so that was super exciting. Knowing that our 10-year-old is going through hunter safety right now and has his field day where he's going to shoot the rifle so he can prove that he can shoot, and then getting a rifle built out for him to shoot next year so he can go after deer with me. All of those things are, I mean, just
Yeah.
super exciting, and it's starting to hit me that some people have asked, like, well, aren't you worried about your time out in the field? I said no. I said, as long as they live under my roof, that meat's still going in my freezer, and the kids I get to go spot for them. I get to watch the whole thing come
Seeing
to
your kids
fruition.
be successful is your time.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I'm 60 or whatever and can afford to go on these $1,000 hunts and stuff like that, $10,000 hunts, and I can go. That's when I'll go kill my biggest bull, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm more excited about getting my kids successful. So
Yeah.
I'm right there with you, man. That's awesome, and knowing that you didn't grow up with it. So I guess circling back to whitetail, like where it started for you, if your dad wasn't big into it, I mean, what really got you into hunting?
His brother,
Okay.
our uncle, he was the big hunter, and he got into it. My Uncle Sean got into he killed his first deer on public with a 30-30 when he was 15 years old, 8-point, and still has that deer mounted in his house today. And he got bit by the bug, and he just did everything. He hunted everything he could, and so my uncle taught my older brother, the only brother I got, but he's older than me. Taught my brother how to hunt and took him hunting first and all this kind of stuff, and then Trey took me hunting, and I killed my first 2 deer with my brother sitting right beside me in the shoot house. Spike on the first one and a 4-point the next year. And then when we didn't hunt together a lot growing up, because once my parents bought 32 acres, they built a house on it when I was 12 or 13. From that point on, I was hunting behind the house, and I'd hunt by myself, Trade hunt by himself, or he may go down to some public land every now and then with a group of friends. Once I got out of the military, that's where me and my brother really started hunting together a lot, because we were both grown at the time, and we both really started hitting public hard. And that's when THP got big on YouTube or started a channel. And then, I mean, they started and got freaking huge overnight. Um, Rightfully so. Anybody out there listening, THPs, I love them. They're awesome. Uh, so my brother would be the one that introduced me to all that. And, I don't know. Like, I introduced him to turkey hunting. He still has not duck hunted, but like, he's always been deer hunter, deer hunter, deer hunter, deer hunter. I've been more of I'd like to experience some other things. I've still been the deer hunter above everything. But I've always been like, all right, well, I want to know what duck hunting's like, what turkey hunting's like. I'd like to one day know what elk hunting's like. Uh, but yeah, Trey, he's been the deer hunter through and through from day one, and I don't know. I guess it's probably too my passion for it grew even more once me and him started hunting because we're brothers and it's something that we could do. And, we were there multiple occasions to where the other one was successful, and the other one got to sit there and see it and all this kind of stuff. So, you take all those memories, and I'm a sentimental guy. So I take all those memories and it just kind of builds that up, that drive and that love for it. But yeah, it all started from Big Brother taking me and giving me that opportunity.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a big deal, man. Especially when it's family, but even if it's not, if it's someone that is super close to you, I think there's a lot of takeaways there of just don't pressure it, don't force it, whether it's your kids, whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member. If they show interest, don't say, hey, now you got to go buy the latest and greatest SITKA gear, Kuyu, the nicest whatever. Like, share your stuff.
Nomad.
Nomad. There you go. Yeah, Nomad. Any of the gear that whatever. Like, I mean, the buddy that took me out Western hunting, I was in jeans. I was wearing probably $120 pair of boots. And I think I bought a Walmart shirt, mossy oak shirt or something like that. And it was probably cotton, just the worst stuff that you could wear. Didn't have any binoculars, that kind of deal. And he let me borrow some, and we just went out, and I got to experience what his hunt was like, and that kind of gave me got me bit with the urge to go out and do it myself. Now he comes to me asking me about things. So
Yeah.
You never know, but don't make it such a barrier to entry for anyone out there. If you don't have enough stands or you don't have enough whatever, go sit in a ground blind, go set them up on a tree, and sit in front of a tree with maybe some brushed in whatever in front of you and have them watch deer come by. Whatever. There's small barriers of entry to overcome to get into hunting. But if you overwhelm people, they're not going to want to come back either. And so,
Right.
And I agree. You mentioned earlier about hunting being in our DNA. It's even just being out in the woods letting your kids run feral, whether they're boys or girls. I do notice that my youngest daughter will go out and find all the butterflies, and my son's over there breaking sticks, and they enjoy nature differently, but there's still something about nature that just is in our DNA. We're so wrapped up in, all the electronics and Wi-Fi and everything else going on in our homes. And then they go to school, and now the kid, my daughter's, was she in second grade, and she has a laptop provided by the school. I'm like,
Gosh.
what the heck, and they're
Yeah.
overwhelmed with technology. So when you get to shut it off, and just send them out and say, go find something to do. Oh, I'm bored. I don't care. Figure it out. Go whatever you, I'm not sure. I'm not going to entertain you. Go figure it out. Right.
Yep.
And it's something that we all desire, whether you're an adult, whether you're a kid. Being able to be unplugged and figure those things out is a lot of fun. Again, whether it's hunting or not, and getting to see animals, even if you see whitetails all over the place, which I'm sure you do off the side of the road, and people see them in their yards. Like, it's something different
yeah.
about sitting there and listening to one walk in on you.
Yeah, when there is nothing. There's nothing that beats the sound of a heavy foot at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, when the ground's still crisp, the air's really cool, and you can actually see it fully. Like you still get that feeling when it's right before dark, but right before dark, a lot of times you just can't see the full. You can see it's a buck, you can see it's a shooter, you can see enough to shoot it. But you see one walk in and the sunlight hits its horns, oh, and you just hear that and you know that's not a squirrel. That's not an armadillo. That's not a raccoon.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. Like there's just not a feeling that can beat that, man. I love to hear a turkey gobble, but golly, when I hear that I'm like, oh boy, here we go, son. What's visiting to pop out? Yep,
Man,
I'm probably
yeah.
gonna miss it, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna enjoy looking at it before I shoot at it.
Last year going to North Carolina, again I grew up there, but for the first time hunting whitetails, I was just sitting in my buddy's, essentially his backyard property, and he's over my shoulder with a camera, and I need to get this footage from him. That's when I learned about, like, you watch the videos and stuff of deer ducking, but I actually learned that even at 30 yards, like, we watched that video back, and he put a pin, just a dot where the arrow ended up. We rewound it, and that dot was right where you're supposed to shoot a deer, right? And that deer just did a burpee, just dropped to the ground. They went right, maybe gave her a haircut, and she was gone. But before even that, dude, I'm sitting there, and again, this not even that big. They were small little does, and two of them come walking in, and my arrow tip is just doing this. my buddy will not stop giving me crap about that. And I'm like, look, I'm sitting there trying to hold still, and it wasn't even that cold. I was nice and warm, and I could just see my arrow tip just going do 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 do. And I'm like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah. But you wouldn't trade that feeling for anything, man. That's the feeling that keeps us going.
Exactly. No, I hear that. Well, I mean, I know on the previous two we covered quite a bit about you. Obviously, you're a comedian. Right now is kind of your main thing that you're focusing on. Guys, if you haven't gone and tuned into Trent's stuff over on his page, I'll leave the links down below. It's really funny. Even the Subaru stuff. I mean, we're out here in Utah. We actually own quite a few Subarus. So when I saw that video, I was laughing hard because we do. We've got two Crosstreks, and then my wife's big SUV is a Subaru. But I will say, in their defense, they do really well in the snow. So,
oh, dude, Subarus, look, I had Johnny. Have you ever heard the name Johnny Lynn?
I think so, yeah.
I think that's his name. He messaged me on Instagram the other day. He's an Asian dude that is an assassin. I'm not going to say ninja because somebody's going to say it's racist, but he is. Yeah, he's a deer ninja. Okay, yeah. He's just. I mean, he'll get out there and chase deer, whitetails all over the country, and just freaking murders them. I mean, big deer. and he sent me a message the other night because he saw the video, and he's like, I feel personally attacked. And he had so many pictures of dead, very, very nice bucks in the back of a Subaru, or on the top of it, or on that little cage that you can put on the back.
Yeah.
And you know, and I can't remember what I said. It was some joke or whatnot. But yeah, no, you're
When you
either
find out your son drives a Subaru was the video that I'm thinking of. Yeah.
yeah, you're either a lesbian or a really good hunter. So that's, you know, that's why I keep, you know, we
Yeah.
still got it. I want people to think, you know, I'm a
We
good
joke
hunter.
with my daughter. My oldest daughter drives a nice cross trek, and when she got that, I was like, "Is this your coming out party? Is this?" And she was like, "Oh my gosh, Dad!" You know, oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny, but dude, they are all over the place between Toyotas and Subarus, man. That is Utah. That and big SUVs in the whatever the Diet Coke is like the crack of the Mormon wife. You know, they all have big SUVs driving through those drive-throughs to get their $10 Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, that was good. But anyway, guys, yeah, if you haven't checked out Trent's stuff, definitely go check it out. It's awesome humor. Just really good stuff. And then I guess where else would you like people to go look your stuff up, man?
Really and truthfully, it's that's it. You know, my socials and YouTube, everything is my name, Trent Ellis. So YouTube, you're going to see a little bit more I mean, all my shorts are going to be on YouTube Shorts, but like comedy stuff. But you know, I have a YouTube channel that I'm putting hunts on, that I put, you know, blowing cars up, or, you know, just kind of a vlog style YouTube channel that I'm putting content out on every week. So that's where you'd get to see a little bit more day in the life. And now that we're in hunting season, going to be some hunting videos. So
That's awesome.
that's
That's
it.
awesome. Well, sweet. No, I appreciate you taking the time to hop on here. I know obviously you've got a lot going on, and we're getting into the throes of whitetail season. So good luck with
Yeah.
that big old buck that you've got. I'm going to leave all the links down below, guys, where you can check out Trent's pages. Definitely recommend it. Awesome humor. Are you open for financial clients? Is that something that you're still doing?
Yeah. I'm on a referral basis now. So I'm pretty much managing my book that I have. And if somebody calls me, you know, as a referral, says, hey, you know, you did something for my cousin or my uncle or whatever the case, you know, I talk to them. I'm not going to give my number out on here, but
Yeah.
if they want to, if they want to reach out, you know, on Facebook or Instagram, you know, anything legit, I'll help anybody the way I can, best way I
Sweet.
can.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, awesome, man.
So,
Well, again, I appreciate that. And I'm going to also recommend, if people are out there looking for the one stick video, definitely go check that out, because I still need to go look at that now that I'm getting into the whitetail mode and figuring out if I want to try that or not. I actually,
there's two one stick videos now. There's one
okay.
that I did a year ago,
Uh-huh.
which is, you know, the proper how to and everything. And then there's one that I just uploaded a few weeks ago with my cameraman, 6'1", 330 pounds,
Ooh, that's a big
trying to
dude.
one stick.
Yeah.
And he has a little mishap. That's all I'm going to say.
Well,
It's worth the watch.
I actually fell off of my second stick going up August 30th. And I'm lucky I didn't end up in the hospital. I had my lineman's rope, so that caught me. But the stick, you know how pokey they are at the top, ripped
Yeah.
a hole up my thigh, and luckily, like, didn't hit my leg until it was just above my junk, and it like, I was thinking I was gonna need stitches.
Oh.
And I got home, and my wife was like, "What the did you do?" And I was like, I survived. I'm okay. But and then I sent a picture to, they were Sitka pants that I just got. I think it was the third time I'd worn them, and I sent a picture to the guy over there, and I was like, you know, you didn't quite have enough ventilation, so we're gonna call this the no sweaty balls version of the pant.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, these pants suck, man. What are you talking about? God.
I need a little bit more breeze. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, yeah, with that being said, guys, I'll leave Trent's links down below. Trent, good luck with the new baby. Good luck tonight with your son and everything else you've got going on. I appreciate the time. We'll be sharing some whitetail pictures later this season, I'm sure.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Jonathan. Thank you for having me.
Like I always say, guys, get out, live your life, and love it.